This is our attempt at the gruelling National Three Peaks Challenge, climbing Ben Nevis in Scotland, Scafell Pike in England and then Snowdon in Wales. It covers more than 23 miles, has a total ascent of more than 3,000 metres and has to be completed within 24 hours. Now I'm not quite sure how it came about. After floating the idea, it was put in the diary and completely forgotten about. Suddenly it's a week away and we've forgotten to do any training. I quickly looked at a few training plans which all said relax the week before the hike, so that's what we did. We started with a brief 10-hour drive to Fort William in Scotland. We were naively full of confidence, so pizza and beers seemed like the most logical nightcap. After I fell straight to sleep, John discovered I'm a bit of a snorer, so took a little while longer to nod off. Everyone else in the bunkhouse was up and out at 5 and kindly woke us up on the way out. So we're up, out and at the foot of Ben Nevis earlier than initially planned.
Okay, here we are at the foot of Ben Nevis. Three Peaks Challenge. John, what's the time?
6:22.
6:22. Off we go.
Off we go. Three Peaks.
Ben Nevis is the tallest of the three mountains, with its peak standing at 1,345 metres. Starting early worked to our advantage as it meant both our ascent and half the descent remained shaded from the sun. On one of the hottest days of the year, this was greatly needed.
Hill burn yet?
Yeah, not hill burn.
Despite the recent weather, there was still a little snow we had to get through towards the peak. This was actually a welcome sight as it signalled the end was near. We finally reached the peak in 2.5 hours, which isn't bad for a couple of guys who didn't put any training in.
That's it. Ben Nevis conquered.
We had a moment to take in the breathtaking views Scotland has to offer, which is pretty impressive on a clear day like this. Keen to crack on with the challenge, we got straight onto the descent and made it back to the car 2 hours later.
And that's it. That's Ben Nevis.
Scafell next. We're coming.
Oh, I need to sleep.
It seems everyone in Scotland and Northern England either has a tractor, horse box or van that they like driving really slowly. Despite this, we arrived at Scafell Pike in a breezy 6 hours and just in time for the midgies to feast on us before making our second descent.
Okay, we're now on Scafell Pike. What's the time, John?
5:30.
5:30. See you in a bit.
With energy levels still relatively high, we absolutely stormed the first 50 metres. Then our bodies remembered we were old and hadn't done any training, so we slowed our pace, made loads of grunting noises and sweat a lot. It was a bit burny on the legs, but eventually we got into the swing of things and arrived at the peak 2 hours later. Scafell Pike is the smallest of the three mountains at a mere 978 metres. Unlike Scottish Ben, you can't see the peak of Scafell, which means you can't really gauge how long you have left, and it does seem to go on forever. Like Ben, we were welcomed with stunning views at the peak. Afraid of the incoming thunderstorms, we immediately made a quick retreat and luckily got back to the car ahead of the incoming rain. A slight detour got us to Snowdon for 1:15 AM and final hike started by 1:30. Being tired, exhausted and absolutely shattered, this was the most unenjoyable of the climbs. Being dark also took out the little enjoyment you would normally get from climbing a mountain. It's 1,085 metres of pure torture, and the climb alone makes you want to hate the entire country. We finally reached the top of Snowdon at 4:15 AM, and starting to get light, the view was quite spectacular. I managed to knacker my knees, so the climb back down was every bit as torturous and miserable as the ascent. Despite this, and wanting to fall asleep whilst walking, we did manage to get back just within the 24-hour limit.
So that's Snowdon done. Time is 5:56. So well within the 24 hours.